Okay. Match 1 in our first recorded league in this brave new Mutavault world. And if this is a Mutavault deck, this might just be game over. The fact that we haven't seen Giganta just yet, hopefully is a good sign. Hopefully if we need to draw into, like, I think Deprive specifically really. Well, actually, I think Force Negate. We either need to draw into Deprive and a second blue source ASAP if it's Mutavault, which it might be, or we need to draw into 2 sources and Force Negation. The reason why we need 2 more blue sources, we need 3 mana if it's Force Negation. Well, here's the blue source, at least that. Is that they can always play Violent Outburst at the end of our turn, so having just 2 is not going to cut it. Oh, there's Deprive. So hopefully this isn't some of those multiple payoff versions, particularly one of the ones that has Simian Spirit Guide in it. That would suck if they Simian Spirit Guide out of Violent Outburst on their turn. They might wait till our turn because I do think Force Negation is a slightly more played. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. The fact that they played Ott means it's not a Mutavault Trickery deck. Well, it may not, like, the Mutavault's Trickery decks will help represent the meta a little more if we face them, but man, they are not interesting to play against. Well, not entirely true. They're just annoying to play against. There is actually a little interesting give and take with, like, how to. No, actually, let's not sugarcoat it. It's really not that interesting. Maybe it's a little interesting for them deciding whether they're gonna play Violent Outburst on their turn or our turn. But, like, on our turn, it's really simple. We just have to, like, apply pressure and then hold up Deprive at all times and cross our fingers and hope that they never have, like, more Violent Outbursts than we have creatures. It's dumb. It's mega dumb, but it is what it is. So we are going to attack. There was some consideration of playing Silvergill Adept, going for a land and then having Repeal up for, mega card advantage if they try to, like, deal with our. But here's what we're going to do. Since Deprive is always better later in the game, both because we counter more powerful spells and because setting us a land back is not as big of a deal after we've made, all of our land drops versus early on we're still making land drops. And because we want to empty our hand, particularly of cards that we can't empty through Aether Vial, I'm just going to go ahead and Spreading Seas. It may not be the most optimal use of Spreading Seas, but this is. I feel like Spreading Seas is not going to color screen them in this game anyway. Mostly we're just doing this just to cycle. I really hope that for some reason this isn't a Mutavault Trickery deck with 4 ops just to mega troll us and throw us off guard. That's talk about next level if it is. But yeah, and I want to make my land drops, so hopefully I draw a land. If I don't, I might just put in Silvergill Adept just to make my land drop. We'll see. I don't want to put Silvergill Adept in this turn because, like, for example, people don't really play it much anymore, but they might have Electrolyze. Electrolyze would suck enormously, especially since it's a prime target for Deprive. But yeah, hopefully we hit, like, a Creeping Tar Pit or something. Yes, I'll take that. And I think just putting it as a blue land is probably better here. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if we put it in as a black land, but basically we just put it in as black land if it looks like we need to cast Lurrus or activate Creeping Tar Pit or pay for or not pay life for Deprive, like, right away, because most of the time we're always going to be choked more on blue mana than black mana, especially when we got Aether Vial to cast Lurrus. So we should be in good shape, and I am glad I hit that 3rd land drop. They're not presenting anything super threatening here, so we'll Violence Silvergill Adept. It's gonna kind of suck if we hit an Aether Vial. It's the only real card that punishes us super bad. I suppose if we hit a Greater Gargano. So this is a as Foretold. That could have been a disaster, actually, because if they hit their 3rd land drop and they had As Foretold and they had, like Ancestral Vision and other stuff, they could have like semi gone off. Okay, good. So if we would have hit Creeping Tar Pit or Aether Vial, we would have been slightly more inefficient for waiting on Silvergill. But it's generally correct, I find, to wait because you just don't want to expose it to more than you need to. Ooh. Well, since we got Force and Negation, I think I'm okay to go for cutting them off red. I know it's unlikely we mana screw them, but I mean, it kind of looks like that's happening. And I think I will dump Master because they only have one red source, so if they like Flame Slash or Lightning Bolt or whatever it is, I guess I should have done Lord of Atlantis because that's what they know about. Whatever. Yeah, I should have, but it is what it is. Yeah, plus it's threatening lethal next turn without any additional creatures, which is always a good place to be. I'll just force negate any burn spell if they play it on their turn. Yeah, so that was just... So sometimes we can actually get under them. This is a deck where Chalice is an all-star. I guarantee you it's as Foretold. It's Restore Balance as Foretold. That's the point of this is the point of Greater Gargadon, is they can sack all their permanents and then make a balance into a one-sided land destruction effect. Well, not one-sided, but a land destruction effect on both sides. But they're going to have a 9/7 coming down. So we definitely want Chalice. I don't Dismember. Yeah, Dismember can be good, but I think we don't need it because our Repeal is such a powerhouse against Footfalls. What's it called? Crashing Footfalls, the card that puts two Rhino tokens into play. Repeal is an all-star. 1 mana, destroy a 4/4 Rhino token, draw a card. Sign me up. Spreading Seas is also weak link. I think again mainly because of the Crashing Footfalls. Echoing Truth is where we want to be. That leaves us with more slot. I don't think they really use the graveyard that much. They do have 1-drops, so Chalice on both 0 and 1 is live, so I don't know Nihil Spellbomb is worth that. And you see, this is I really don't think we need Spreading Seas. So see, this is where actually having Disrupting Shoal instead of what's it called, Spell Snare actually comes in handy, because we're bringing in Disrupting Shoal just as like an additional kind of flex counterspell. Sometimes it'll be a force of Spell Snare, but as a 2-of, it can also just kind of counter stuff. It's like an overcosted counterspell, but I think an overcosted counterspell is still better than Spreading Seas, and it still might do work. So let's see. But that's the kind of flexibility that I kind of opted to play Disrupting Shoal rather than go out and get those Spell Snares. Just using the Disrupting Shoals I already had in my collection from way back when I never sold. You never know, one of these days this might shoot up in value and be super valuable. That's considerably less likely now that they print a Force of Negation. But I did like this card. Man, this is a tempting hand, but if we draw one more blue source, we actually can do a lot of work with these cards. Don't do this at home, kids, but we're keeping. Merfolk just gets punished a lot for mulliganing. It does actually have to mulligan more than I would have liked, but it does get punished. And there's just like against a semi-combo deck, like just having this much permission, which by the way is also like a lot of stuff we can do even if we don't hit a second land. I just can't pass it up. And this might be my undoing. Like again, and by the way, kids is just a expression, for the YouTube algorithm. Or this is not content for kids. It's not. Do not put it in YouTube purgatory, please. Yes, like 12 and over. Magic is a game, I think, for maybe either 12 and over, or maybe over 12 even. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's called sometimes a children's card game, but the reality is there are some children who play it. But let's call a spade. Those children that are playing it are some type of savants, because I certainly could not have wrapped my head around. I certainly could not have. How can I say? I don't think this would have been my first game of choice as a kid under 10, but that's neither here nor there. Let's see here. Well, nothing I can do, so I'm gonna hope I hit that blue source. Otherwise, we're gonna have to start discarding. Well, we did it. We did it, people. Again, don't try this at home, but we're in business. And now we've got Repeal for Crashing Footfalls too. Actually, we've got Disrupting Shoal for Crashing Footfalls too. That's another reason to have Disrupting Shoal. It can counter the 0 mana cards for 2 mana. Yeah, I like Disrupting Shoal instead of Spreading Seas. And I like it a heck of a lot more in this matchup than Spell Snare. So there's that. There's that. I don't know what to say. I almost wonder, maybe I should play this instead of instead of Echoing Truth, now that I think about it. Now, Echoing Truth also bounces Greater Gargadon, whereas Repeal wouldn't because it's 9 mana. Oh, I think something's getting Disrupting Shoal. Yep. So now we apply the pressure. Hopefully we draw a land. Alright. Since we got Force Negation for an Anger of the Gods, let's just apply max pressure. Merfolk Trickster, you know, we can do that for later. It's a little bit better when we have the ability to hold up Force Negation for, you know, hard casting or Repeal. So just going to jam the Lord to both squeeze in a little extra damage, and because it's sorcery speed, whereas Trickster is instant speed. That's secretly one of the best things about Merfolk Trickster is it's just this instant speed Grizzly Bear sometimes. Secretly, actually being instant speed is surprisingly powerful, especially in a blue deck, even if you're not using the trick ability. Well. We've got two choices here. We can counter it, or we can try to counter the stuff they play. Problem with countering the stuff they play is if it's instant speed. I'm going to counter the stuff they play. Now, don't try this at home, people, but I'm going to try to counter the stuff they play. Okay, so we've got a choice here. We can either repeal a token, or we can... I don't think it gets much better than repealing a token, so I'm going to just do that instead of force negating it. Plus we get around it anyway with Lord of Atlantis, so... Alright, sweet. So, first let's repeal. I really want to play Aether Vial, but I think I just want to squeeze damage more. So this way our Lord of Atlantis can get in. And we've got 6 unblockable power as long as we can protect the Lord, so I kind of like letting it come into play. And that's the thing, as long as they can counter whatever they're playing with as Foretold, then we're going to be up on cards. Now, in a way, we'd be up on cards if they, you know, didn't actually get any value from Crashing Footfalls. So maybe this is a mistake. Maybe we would have gotten more value. But I was just a little worried. Nah, you know what? Maybe actually in retrospect, we should have countered as Foretold. We might win either way. But if we countered as Foretold, we actually had more counter spells for as Foretold, and their deck doesn't really do a lot. Okay. Hopefully they don't have instant. They don't have like Spell Pierce or something. Or if they do, I guess we can force Negate again, which we will have to do if they have. Okay, nice. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe we should have force negated the as Foretold. But then again, I mean, we also got full value out of our appeal. And yeah, actually, maybe this was correct. I think it's telling that this is probably a good matchup for Merfolk when we actually had, I think, a number of pretty good lines available to us. So I'm going to keep all mana up before I attack instead of playing Aether Vial, just in case somehow they play a 2 mana spell, which I'm not even sure how. They do have Steam Vents. I actually, for a second there, I actually got worried because I'm like, wait a minute, this is an island, but I'm like, oh, it's Steam Vents, okay. I do think I did a check before, but it's always good to do a double check before you attack, because there's never been more non-island dual lands that people play. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I could have paid full retail to Disrupting Shoal it, but I think this Disrupting Shoal is waiting in the wings for this Ancestral Vision. It can also counter a Restore Balance for what it's worth. Like I said, actually, I think Disrupting Shoal can do a lot of work in this matchup. I feel like Fire Islet Crack is in our future, which I think they probably, if so, they probably should have cracked before they played the Canal, because you just never know if they draw something and I don't know, it may not make a difference, but... Ooh. I guess, I don't know, does it make a difference which I use? I'll just use Disrupting Shoal now. I don't know that makes a difference. Yeah. And I've still got Force of Negation up for Vision. Maybe I didn't need to counter it, actually, because they were dead anyway, now that I think about it. Yeah, now that I think about it, that was probably a mistake. I do like playing Disrupting Shoal though, just in case they're being cute with like a an Electro Dominance or something, trying to do that in combat, which I think is not really. I think it's way too cute, personally. But we do have we do it. Force Negation is a little better. Although yeah, because if they pay X is equal to 2, then obviously it needed to be Force Negation here rather than Disrupting Shoal. So that was correct to Disrupting Shoal the Crashing Footfalls instead of Yep, they are getting cute, I think. Moral of the story, folks: don't be cute. They could have actually. We of course made a mistake by Disrupting Shoaling there. We should not have. We were not dead to those rhinos. They were actually dead to us. Oh, yeah, so it goes. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, in a way, we made a mistake because they could have capitalized on it with Electro Dominance on their turn. They didn't. They just waited till our turn, so our mistake didn't get capitalized on. So essentially, like, we made a mistake, they made a mistake back. But so takeaway here: we shouldn't have Disrupting Shoal, even though it was such a juicy, tempting target to Disrupting Shoal. Moral of the story for them is they definitely shouldn't have gotten cute, and while we were tapped out and only had one card in hand, so we couldn't have pitched anything to Force Negation, they should have just killed the Lord. But anyway,